welcome back to Room 237 as I continue my marathon of Italian horror and giallo films. And for this, I have another zombie movie, and I'm still not quite sure what to make. I don't know if this is going to be a rant or just one I'm going to be laughing the whole way through. But we're going to 1981 for this, and it's filmed by Andre Bianchi. Yeah. And it is Burial Ground, aka The Nights of Terror, aka Zombie Horror, aka The Zombie Dead. I think even in some countries it was called Burial Ground, The Nights of Terror. Now I know this doesn't look like a great version. I know that there is a much better release by Severin, which I was going to get, but I would have had to order it at the store that I go to, and this was already there and cheaper. So I figured, what the hell, just pick it up. Now, before I get... Oh, and also this was one of several movies that was called Zombie 3. Up until the official Zombie 3 came out. Now, before I get too heavy into it, I should mention, even though it came out in 81 in Italy, it wasn't released in America until 85. So there. Now, I know I've talked about a few zombie movies so far in this marathon, and ones that I've said that feel like Z movie knockoffs of other, or this might be the most Z movie one I've seen so far. At least Italian zombie movies. I still have Hell of the Living Dead to watch, and I know that's... the reputation of that one is pretty notorious, but this... And yes, this is a grindhouse film. I guess they felt the need to actually point that out more than other movies of this kind from that time. And while other movies like Zombie Holocaust do feel more like Lucio Fulci's Zombie, I will say, yeah, there are scenes in this that are directly taken from even the style of the zombies, which I will say I like the design. I like the design of the makeup. The makeup itself is very unconvincing. I will say that is one of the flaws with this. The blood, guts, and gore effects are well done. So sadly, we don't really get a lot of that. But the effects of the zombies, the parts that look like a mask are well done. And yeah, there's maggots and worms and eyeballs hanging out. But it literally looks like you can see the skin around the eyes and the mouth underneath, and you can tell it's like a thick prosthetic or like a mask. It's like they blacked out that parts, which is kind of typical. They do that a lot, but it stands out. It looks very obvious. It's only 85 minutes, very forgivably short, and it does go at a good pace. It doesn't even really take that long to get into it, so I mean, that's pretty forgivable. The acting, on the other hand, that's a whole other story. So for the cast, we have Karen Well and Peter Bark. That's all it says on the back. Written by Piero Regnoli. I know I've heard that name before. But other members of the cast, none of which I can click on except for Mariangela Giordano, who I think I've seen other things of hers. Patrick is still alive, which I want to say something about that because uh, recently I I had this image in my head of a child laying in bed with the blanket pulled up, sort of like a black bowl cut, just wide eyes, like staring. I had seen that image before, and I was trying to think, what movie is that? And the only things that kept coming into mind was Death Dream and Patrick. Even though Patrick, I know he looks more like Malcolm McDowell than what I was thinking of. That's all that was coming in my head. It actually was this movie because there is a child who is played by Peter Bark, who's playing Michael, who I think Michael is supposed to be around 12 years old, but Peter Bark is 25. And the reason why is because Bianchi wanted to avoid some of the child labor laws. It's not the first time we've seen that. I mean, Isaac from Children of the Corn was like 20 or 25 as well, but at least he sounds like a child. There's some... Peter Bark doesn't really talk much in this, but there's one scene when he does where he sounds like an adult. And yeah, he kind of looks like just a very small adult. The story's very simple. It opens up with a scientist who's down in this crypt, this catacomb, this crypt, and he unleashes a gate and a curse that lets the dead rise from the graves and feast on the living. And the scientist looks like he's been down there for about 30 years, because, I mean, he looks like the prisoner on Mel Brooks' History of the World. You know, huge gray beard. And then nearby, he has this mansion where 3 couples show up upon invitation from the scientist. One of the women, of the 3 women in the 3 couples, she brings her son, Michael. And there's a scene where Michael walks in on her having sex with a boyfriend, and he looks super traumatized. And I don't even really remember why they're all there. But then I think it's like the next day, the other couples are out and about on the property, and they start to see the zombies rising from the grave. One zombie in particular rises. Well, first we see his hands come up, and you can even see unmade up skin color underneath. After his arms come up, he sits up in such a way with worms in his eye all around him. Looks done just like the scene from Zombie, the one that's on the cover. There's even another zombie. Wait, actually, it's this one. I think there's another one like it where it's kind of snarled and just like its teeth are kind of curved, like the one on the cover for Lucio Fulci's Zombie. And yeah, when they get a hold of someone, they tear their guts out, and the gore effects are well done. In fact, I'm pretty sure this was amongst somewhere in the list of the video nasties. Might even say on the back of this. But not sure if it was one of the ones that was actually prosecuted or not. And then is pretty much the group trying to fend off the zombies for the next hour. That's the movie. And there's really not much to say about behind the scenes or anything. Not much to say about the movie in general. I mean, yeah, the design of the zombies look decent. I like the design, but the way it's done, the execution of the makeup is not the most convincing or the strongest. From a distance, I guess they look decent, and yeah, they are going for like a real rotted, Fulci kind of look. I didn't really notice any kind of music worth noting. All the acting was pretty bad. And then eventually the zombies get inside the mansion, and I'll say spoilers, but I mean, there's nothing really earth-shattering in it. But Michael sees one of the guests. Well, first, okay, I am gonna say spoilers. So yeah, if you like zombie movies, and like grindhouse films and Italian films, I guess check it out. Just know what you're getting into. It's nothing really good. I suppose it has charm to it. It does have charm. This isn't a rant. I mean, I did find it enjoyable. I could see it through its flaws. So, yeah, I'm not going to call this a rant. You can definitely tell it's a low budget, so it has some charm to it. It does seem like there's some effort put into it. So, but don't think you're going to get, like, City of the Living Dead, or not really a zombie movie, but or Fulci Zombie or something like that. So with that, spoilers. Now, at one point, once the zombies start coming into the mansion and hell's breaking loose, that one woman is trying to console her son Michael, again, who's like around 12 years old probably, somewhere between 10 and 12. She gives him a motherly kiss, which he reciprocates, cheek, mouth, but he keeps going. And then he feels her up, and then he feels up her leg. She realizes what's happening, slaps him, and is like, Michael, why? No. And then he runs off upset. So yeah, and while he's feeling her up, says like, I love you so much. So I guess that's why he looked so traumatized when he walked in on her and her boyfriend. So yeah, but it's just kind of like kind of gratuitous because it doesn't really do anything to the plot except for something else that happens later. His incestuous love for her. So when he runs off, he sees another one of the female guests who's been killed. She's been turned. He's stunned and scared. We don't see what happens to him, but eventually everyone catches up and sees the guest eating his arm, I think it was, and he's dead. So the mother's a mess for the rest of the movie. Eventually they end up somewhere down in the basement, I think it was, and they see Michael walking around, not really looking like a zombie, just sort of pale, kind of, bag. He looks dead, but she hugs him with joy, and he's just like staring. And he stares straight ahead where her breasts are, and he goes to feel, and and either he removes her shirt or she does it for him, but she like goes with it, and she says like, "Yes, Michael, go ahead, I love you." So it's like she's so overjoyed, she's just gonna take one for the team, I guess. But he doesn't do what she thinks he's gonna do, and instead he bites. And I mean, we see him tear it off. That's a decent effect. The effects are decent, other than the zombie effects. More and more come piling in, and it ends with one of the girls sort of backed into a corner screaming, with, you know, zombies all around her with their hands coming like they're gonna grab her. Except the hands kind of, the actors like freeze before the freeze frame. It's kind of obvious. And then there's a quote from Prophecy of the Black Spider at the end of the movie. But I will say the scene with that girl, the blonde one, kind of a suspenseful scene when her and her boyfriend earlier, when we start seeing them rise from the ground, they're running away. She steps in a bear trap. Why anyone has a bear trap that close to their property, on their property, by their house, I don't know. So he's trying to fend these zombies off with like a pitchfork so he can get her out of it. Eventually other people hear her, come to her aid. And one thing I did forget to mention, these zombies are, even though they're slow, Fulci looking zombies, I say that kind of loosely, not loosely, because they do look like Fulci zombies, just not nearly as good. These ones seem to have strength, like really, you know, they seem to be really strong, somewhat intelligent. They use tools and weapons to fight back. So, a little different. I should have said that before, spoilers, but oh well. So yeah, they're a little bit smarter and stronger, I guess, than what else was going on back then, or even now. And yeah, it just sort of ends with knowing everyone's gonna die, which I guess is kind of typical of Grindhouse. It's sort of either the bad guy gets it or everyone dies. I wouldn't say it's a terrible movie. I mean, it is very cheaply made, but it, for every flaw, there is something positive that you can say about it, which is why this isn't going to be a rant. Like, yes, even though the zombie effects are poor, the gore effects are good, and even while the zombie effects are poor, at least the design is nice. You can see the effort. The power just did not agree with me on that. You all saw that. That was funny. Yeah, power in my apartment's just like, well, I didn't see it. So anyway, not as good as I thought it was going to be, but it was still somewhat worth the wait. I'm glad I did see it. I'm glad I have it. I wouldn't say it's the worst Fulci zombie ripoff. I think I liked it more than Zombie Holocaust. I mean, its pacing, its runtime, the effects that work, you know, all very forgivable. It can make up for some of the minor flaws. I mean, you're not going to get perfect effects or acting for the budget this had, which I'm not even sure what it was. But, so yeah, I don't think I said what release this is. This is the Shriek Show release. But, so yeah, that's Burial Ground, another Italian zombie movie. I still have Hell of the Living Dead to get to. So, yeah, if you've seen Burial Ground, let me know what you thought of it, especially compared specifically to like Zombie Holocaust. And if you think of any other Italian horror or giallo films that I haven't touched upon yet, you can go back to my collection video as well. Any of my Italian collection videos, and let me know which ones you're looking forward to the most, and stay tuned for more because I got plenty more to get to, and I plan on doing this for a while because I'm really enjoying going back and rewatching these. So with that, thank you for watching.